Hi, everybody. Welcome to Next to Media. I'm Mike Shields. My guest this week is Rob Sands. He's the SVP of Business Development at Crunchyroll. Hey, Rob. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Thanks for having me here.
I'm good. I'm pumped to talk to you. I've been wanting to talk to you guys are I feel like one of the more intriguing companies in media business that not everybody it doesn't get talked about enough. Not everybody understands as well, or they pretend to. I think a lot of people may know of you as that anime thing that I know something about. So, why don't we just like cover off for the people that don't know or the fakers, like what is Crunchyroll? How long have you been around? Who owns you guys? And then we can get into lots of specifics.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I joined this company is because of what this opportunity is and what Crunchyroll means to anime and and it is as a company. So we are owned by Sony. The Crunchyroll brand is actually 15 plus years old. It was a community and user generated video site way back in the day. And when founders were really understanding that anime was something that was big. And so they started to move into SVOD services, et cetera, and continue to expand. I mean, now Crunchyroll, what happened then was went through a series of acquisitions, and we're now owned by Sony, which is a perfect alignment given the Japanese background from Sony and their dedication to storytelling, innovation in technology, and then all the other skill sets that comes with them. So we are actually now a collaboration of the top streaming sites that Sony had purchased of anime around the world, as well as mobile gaming, e-commerce, theatrical, and live events. Our SVOD library has over 25,000 hours and 50,000 episodes of series and films, and we're adding those daily, and we're really excited about where we're at.
Okay, that's a lot. It's a really interesting history, and I want to get into some specific aspects of it. But one thing I think it just stood out recently, you guys hit a milestone, 15 million paying subs, if I'm correct. How did that happen? Because I think that snuck up on some people in a streaming world where where everyone's racing for more users and fighting churn. That popped.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It happened twofold. One, it's our fans. The anime fan is a special fan, and the beauty is they come from all walks of life and all around the world, and they represent everything we could want in the passion for the storytelling medium that anime is. And so without anime, without our fans, we would never be here. And then the second is all the hard work of the teams. I mean, taking all the streaming services and combining them and combining the back-end technologies and so forth. That all has been going on in the background for the past few years. And we've really now turned on the faucet in the spigot to start to bring Crunchyroll and anime actively around the world. And so it was through a lot of hard work. It also goes through all of the different aspects of our flywheel that we're really focused on. So not just the SVOD services, but the work we do in theatrical. We have 10 of the top 20 grossing movies in anime of all time are released by Crunchyroll. We also have all of our e-commerce business, our mobile gaming business, where we've just launched Games Vault a few months, about a year ago, that takes us out there. But it really is making a whole anime experience for our fans. So Crunchyroll, gives fans, we're not everything to everyone. We're everything to someone.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited about that.
I want to ask you about some of the specific business lines you're in that people don't realize, but let me take a step back. And this is a little bit of a dumb guy question that I excel in, but how did this happen? And I mean, anime, when we're talking about the U.S. market and the U.S. audience, I mean, obviously the internet facilitated this stuff happening, but like when I was a kid, I don't think anime was a big thing in the U.S. I think there was Japanese influenced animation. I think of, but my kids, well, I have one kid that's really in anime, but all of them watch YouTubers, and the YouTubers reference being into Naruto and stuff like that growing up. So when did this happen, and how did it happen?
Well, so Mike, did you watch Voltron?
Or did
you watch
that's
Speed
what
Racer?
I was thinking of.
Yeah.
What was the other one with the, I'll think of it in a minute, but it was, there was an old 70s cartoon that was very anime looking, and I'll think of it in a little bit.
For me, it was Speed Racer.
Okay.
So I grew up and right, we had tune-in television that we would come home to, from school and be like, if you were sick, you would get bored because Price is Right would end
Yep.
at what 11, and then it switches to news or soap operas.
Right. It was tough.
And then right. And so anime though it's always been a fabric of the culture globally. Japan has always done a lovely job of exporting it. But what's really happened here is that the on-demand culture that we now have allows for people to consume the content where they are, when they are. And more importantly is that pop culture has really hooked onto this. And so those that are leading around the globe, we take a look at, we had a huge summer of sports with the Olympics, with the Euros for soccer, and the Copa America. Those athletes all celebrated through with anime. Noah Lyles for here in the U.S.
I think Coco Gauff mentioned it, if I'm not mistaken, as being a big fan.
And so we're doing is Crunchyroll is we've always been anime, but we're just giving the capabilities and letting people know where they can get it. So it's not that anime is exploding, although we know that it is exploding. It's already here, and that's the part that we love. You look at what are the other things that influence pop culture? You've got athletes, so we know where it goes on that side. In music, Megan Thee Stallion is a super fan, and we've worked with her. Lady Gaga, Logic. You look at fashion; it's all over the place. And so what we're doing is, we're excited for what anime is. We believe that right now there's 800 million round anime interested audiences, and we think that that's going to expand out to 1 billion or more in the next 2 to 3 years.
So that's interesting. By the way, G-Force was the show I was thinking of. I'm not familiar with that
great
one, which I totally want to watch right now. Because I think in getting back to like the streaming business, at one point we talked about there being when there was debate about how many services people would want and what the market was going to look like, well, there might be a ton of niche services, right? We might see, and like anime, that was like the example people would use. And it really hasn't proven to be true. It's mostly been giants that have survived, and Crunchyroll, maybe throw in a horror thing or something like that. But it's not, I guess it's because it's not really that niche, or it's much bigger than people realize. But I guess, why do you think that it lends itself to being a paid passion point service like this versus a bunch of other ones?
It's the dedication and the fans, because fans can identify with what they're looking for there. The beauty of anime is that it's not a genre. It's a diverse storytelling medium.
Okay.
And so that then opens up. So we don't believe it to be niche in any capability whatsoever. It's just this wonderful way to tell stories. And so, it is a part of it's stories that people can identify with, that the fans can identify with and really connect with. And then they share that within themselves. And so in a world now that has the capability to consume content, but then to talk about content on Discord, for if you're in those areas, or in other areas where you can make these engagements with other like-minded individuals around the world, this is a way for them to connect. So I think that's really working well as we pull down global boundaries, that people can all connect on these storytelling. And what we really focus on in these type of aspects is being able to put out dubbing, in multiple languages, so that people are able to be able to consume it, and as well as subtitling as well. So it's a really we really love it because of the power of that storytelling medium.
Right. You kind of referenced some of those folks, how global it is and how diverse it is, but is there, who is your audience? Is there a sweet, I think people it's young guys, it's kids, it's something in between. Is there a commonality or a sweet spot into who the Crunchyroll fan is in the US specifically?
Yeah, within the US, we know that according to our friends over at Polygon, 42% of Gen Zers watch anime every week. That's every week. And then from a demographic breakdown, the thought is that it's mostly male, and it's not. It's actually more around the areas of 52-48.
Interesting.
And so it's really spread out that way. And what's really also is the diversity of it. So take the broader US population. we over-index on that. So if there's a percentage that's Latino, we're going to double that percentage in terms of what our audience is. And so it's really touching all aspects of life because there's a story for everyone there, and we really love that.
I know I'm jumping around quite a bit here, but when we're talking about it as anime, as if it's one, you said it's not a genre, it's not one thing. Give us a little sense of the range of the lineup. Is it, I think, I know what my kids watch, it's like action shows and things that they inspired, like the shows of old you described. But what are we talking about in terms of the content?
Everything. It's just what you said. And I have experts within our company that will tell you the specifics of each one from Shonen and what they all mean, but it's action, it's drama, it's comedy, it's adventure, it's female driven character lead. It's a animal that's that's been alive for 500 years through different spiritualities that come through. It's everything and anything that the storytellers can come up with. And that's what makes it so great, is that if you want to go and do a rom-com, you've got it there. If you want to go do
it lends itself
action,
to so many different things.
Exactly.
All right. So we're jumping around quite a bit here. I apologize as usual for me, but tell us about your role. What are you doing there? When you joined, what was the mission, and where are things headed?
Yeah, I love it. It's I joined about I love jumping around too, by the way. This is how my brain works as well. Good. So we're on the same page here, Mike. It's good. I joined about 18 months ago, and I was brought in to lead up business development and build out a global team that focuses on our different flywheels. And so when we talk about that, that leads to how we're working within our SVOD services, how we're working within theatrical, gaming, e-commerce, live events, etc. And my team is located around the globe, and we work with the classic distribution partnerships there with smart TVs and platforms, etc. There, we're looking to work with our telcos. We're working with brands across the board. And right now, a lot of that job is educating people about anime. And then once we educate them, they come on board right away, which is really exciting. Because we talked about, and what I love is this audience is young. They're sticky. They consume content, and then they share about that content. And they're also willing to spend money, which is really hard to find.
Right. They're not in and out necessarily. The is how much of your life is trying to drive subscriptions through partnerships, like you see a lot of streaming deals with, partnering with Verizon and versus I need to get on the LG platform and I need to get prominence on the menu and I need to get on the discovery has got to be a big part of your job. What does that look like in terms of these BD deals you're working on?
It's a combination of all. I have a team that's focused on working directly with our existing partners, and they work actively every day. Because if you look at the classic U.S. modern platform is designed for Western media, and so a lovely show is Lioness, through Paramount Plus, female driven action. That's pretty odd within the Western media. We have so many titles on anime that are female driven action. And so if we can educate the platforms about what this means, then they can also promote it. And then, when we're okay, if it's just a couple of our shows and a couple run by, on Netflix or Disney or Hulu's or whatever, we're just looking to promote anime.
Right.
And then we have a team that's out focusing on these distribution deals and, working on bundles, etc. And so we are, it's really split evenly, and I have teams evenly split doing it around the world.
Okay. What about how I know that I believe you have different tiers available to consumers, like many services to you. How important is advertising your business? And maybe where is that headed lately?
Advertising is obviously important to us. It's not a primary focus of us. We're unique in that mechanism. We do look to connect with brands and bring them in with our fans because our fans are so attractive for us as well as advertisers. And so we really focus on that with our live events. We're in over 200 different live events around the world a year round, and our events team is amazing there. And sometimes people don't know, if you go CCXP in December is down in Brazil. If you go to New York Comic Con is coming in a few weeks, and it's going to be dominated by anime fans. We'll have a massive booth there. So we're really excited about that and the way we can do that and work with partners. And we're always looking for new partners to work with on this type of setup because of this young, sticky, willing to spend audience.
So that if for a big brand, is it more about, well, yeah, they can buy some pre-rolls on Crunchyroll.com or the app, but it's more about doing something activation with you at Comic-Con or in Brazil or at some of these other events, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we have an ad tier. It's a very small one. We use it as a top of the funnel.
Yep.
But we really do focus on bringing that whole experience and bringing that for advertisers as well.
All right. Let me ask you about the gaming side of the business, because that's an area that it's so many big media companies and even newer streaming leaders, they know they need to be part of it. They don't exactly know how to find synergies between video content and gaming, and even if their audiences mingle or lend themselves to that, how have you approached that, and maybe what is working on that front?
I mean, gaming and the affinity between gaming and anime is amazing. It's almost 1-to-1, and we have great partnerships out there. And even within even within the Sony family with Sony Interactive Entertainment, PlayStation and so forth, and working there. We love the gamers and what they do. We offer mobile gaming as part of it, and we've taken different investments and different directions and strategies on how best to operate that. We offer it as you get a whole selection of free-to-play games with no advertising if you're our mid-tier lineup, which is our Mega Fan, which is the second tier up.
But are they necessarily all tied to titles, or not necessarily?
Some of them are anime focused, but we also know that there's anime affinity. So can we go second or third degree there? And I think that's the key, for us, is that learning about our audiences and learning with our fans here is what is that second or third degree affiliation, and especially within gaming, and then tying that with anime and seeing how that works. Because at the end of the day, we just want to provide what's best for our audience and our fans, and give them the capability to enjoy that.
And then I think for those who don't know, tell us about the movie business. You'll often see so-and-so big Japanese movie hitting US theaters and then it brings out the anime fans, but you're investing in originals and you're doing stuff here that is trying to push the Crunchyroll brand, the movie business. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We are thrilled with what's going on theatrically. A Boy and the Heron just wins, a bunch of awards this past year. Won first anime to win best animation movie, which is fantastic. We were one of the partners in distribution down in the Australian region, but we were part of that family for it. We also just released 2 other movies, sports themes, Hayuka and Blue Lock. And we're really excited about, we are now just announcing a trilogy of Demon Slayer films, which for anime fans it's going to be big.
Okay.
But this is a big part of it for us. And now, within the context that we're part of Sony, we've got a lot of expertise to help us reach the audiences globally that we need to do here.
Taking a step back, you have an interesting career. I of course checked out your bio and your LinkedIn when we set this thing up. You were part of this really interesting project back at CNN called Great Big Story. Can you kind of tell folks that about that project and that very particular era in digital media that was kind of crazy and has had a lot of impacts on the rest of the business?
Yeah, that was wonderful. And again, it was all about storytelling. And I was one of the founding teams there, brought in by Andrew Morse, who was the head of CNN Digital, and Chris Barrand. And they've all moved on to great things. But it was an opportunity for how do you bring a younger audience to CNN? And so that was the story, and through the storytelling capability, CNN is an amazing journalistic entity that can get a camera up anywhere in the world in 20 minutes and have a live feed. And that's unbelievable. But what do you do in order to take advantage of this, at the time, exploding ways of connecting on social through video and storytelling? And Andrew and Chris had this incredible vision of being the flower and the coming out of the crack of the concrete, telling stories that people want to do while utilizing the benefits of a storytelling company like CNN. And this was a time when you had a lot of born on social
media brands popping up
100%.
left and right. So this was like
Yeah.
a lot of the rush toward that audience. It was really popping.
Yeah, on one side you have Vice, who's embedded with ISIS or going in, in here's the German rave scene. On the other side, you got listicles from BuzzFeed, which is the top 10, pumpkin spice lattes to do this year. And those are they both have their place, right? We all enjoy them in our own ways. And we wanted to be in the middle and tell stories for that, by those people, by that generation, that younger generation, for that generation. And we'd send producers out in the field very similarly that we would do. We sent 2-person teams out. They would go find 3, 4, 5 stories, produce it, send it back to our teams. And by the time, so we were able to turn it over and tell these 2 to 4 minute videos and stories. And then that turned into more. And, Great Big Story really was a success in its own way, where we ended up selling series to Netflix. We ended up working with Weather Channel, Comcast, etc. It was just a wonderful time. And that was an exciting time where everyone was just throwing stuff against the wall.
Yeah.
See if it worked.
I don't know. It's hard to summarize like with the learnings from that time, because the platforms ultimately proved maybe they didn't want to be in the news business, or they didn't want to, and there was only the business models only work for so many companies, but there was clearly this audience thing that you and others like tapped into. Are there any learnings that come to mind from that era that for the rest of the media industry that you think about?
Yeah. It's why I'm over here at Crunchyroll. It's about the stories. It's about storytelling. Stories have been around since before written word, and that is how people communicate. That is how people connect. And if you can do that well, and then as a business be able to share that in a manner that doesn't get in the way of the story, it's a really powerful thing. And people will, we can do everything we can to work with the algorithms to get it out in front of people. But what's really powerful is when people start to share it themselves, because they're like, wow, did you see this? You need to hear about that. In the same way we all sit around a dinner table, or we sit around, sitting out in the park or talking. It's storytelling. That's what it's all about.
Shifting gears a little bit, but with Crunchyroll content these days, I'm gonna assume at one point the bulk of your content was produced in, I don't know, Japan and South Korea, or it was not. But now, given its popularity, are you seeing creators come up from all over the place? And are you seeing creators pop up on the platforms like YouTube? Like, where is the next generation of talent coming from, or the acquisitions? What does that look like?
Our focus is we believe that anime is still coming from Japan, and there's still, we work with creators in South Korea, and there's ones all over. Like you said, storytelling is coming from all over the different places. Anime is being created all around. For our focus right now, we really stick to a pretty traditional view of what anime is, the definition of what that is. And, can't speak for what the future holds, but we're really excited for what's going on within that space right now.
Yeah, for one, I know there are people that will have very heated wars about what anime is and is not. It sounds like,
oh yeah, go to Reddit and just look up sub versus dub and see who's the real anime fan, But that's okay.
All right. What last thing is, what else should brands who maybe just don't understand this world, or media executives who want to grasp on it, what do they need to know about you guys in this space, and what's next? What's around the corner?
I love to build. You mentioned Great Big Story. I love to build what I consider startups with inside large companies, and that's what I've really focused my career on. And before that, with in other areas as well. That's the way I look at it as Crunchyroll. Even though we are, a large billion-dollar the numbers are there, but the billion-dollar company is that we're still in startup mode, and because of that, we have aggressive goals and aggressive targets that we want to go do. And what we're looking for these brands is we've got the audience, we're building the technology to reach them in the ways that are meaningful, and the media space itself is in a bit of a reinvention.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're just getting started. So come join us early, because then you can be part of the front part of this. And this is what my teams around the world are walking into boardrooms around the world saying, hey, this is the time to come join us. These are young, active fans that have money and they're willing to consume.
There's still a lot of upside here.
To promote. Yeah, a lot of upside, and we've got the support. You know, it's a strong board behind us, which we would expect from Sony, and we love it, and they support us immensely. But we have to answer hard questions all the time. But we've got the support, and we're excited. And most importantly, it's this fandom. It's unbelievable. It's really exciting.
All right, Rob, super fascinating stuff. Thanks for taking the time out. Hopefully, we'll chat again here.
Hey, Mike, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.